Hello. So I thought we'd have a little bit of fun with words today. It's in English, but it's how it's used between the North and the South and how they're different. So the first word is Coke. So you could do that a couple of different ways. I did Coke because that is the original for cocaine, right? But we're talking about a soft drink. So it's still used that way for Coke. A soft drink in general in ASL is this, like you're getting that aluminum tab up and then popping it. So that's usually a fountain drink. So in the South, people say Coke, Coke, and in the North, and it can mean anything, like Pepsi and Sprite and Dr. Pepper and, root beer, whatever that you want. But in the North, when you say Coke, they really mean that brand, a Coke. So, and I also heard someone that was from the northwestern states, and they went into a restaurant and said they wanted a diet. And so the waitress said, Diet Coke, Diet Pepsi, and they said a diet. And she's going, what kind of diet, which brand? And she just kept saying, diet. So she just brought her a Diet Coke, and that's what she wanted. But, anyway, so that was kind of funny. And then the second one is tea. So in the South, it's mostly served cold, or ice tea, and it has a lot of sugar in it, but that's how it's served all day. And most of the time in the North, it's hot tea where you add the sugar. So and then I noticed that some restaurants in the South will have sweet tea and unsweetened tea. So because people move and they have different preferences. Okay, now here's one, a barbecue, so a BBQ, barbecue. That's how I would, that's not, you wish you want to spell it, barbecue, or barbecue, but barbecue. So that means something different in the North and in the South. In the South, it means like you are the slow cooking meat. That's called a barbecue. And in the North, a barbecue is anything that you're grilling, right? And so in the South, grill is like hot dogs or hamburgers or those things that you're going to grill out. And I do spell it because you're going to have a cookout. You could do that for ASL. You could have a cookout. But in the North, for the South, a barbecue is that slow cooked meat. In the North, a barbecue is any of that. It could be a slow cooked meat, or it can be your hot dogs and your hamburger. So in the South, we say grill, and I always spell it grill out. We're going to grill out or cook on the grill. So that's hamburgers or hot dogs instead of a barbecue. And then here's a fun one, fixin' to. So you don't get the fun part in ASL. So fixin' to is spelled F-I-X-I-N with an apostrophe, but you don't have to put the apostrophe on there, fixin' to. So, and the Northerners and ASL, you use the sign for about to. I'm about to. Or I'm gonna, right? I will. I'm fixin' to, I will. So in the North, you would say, I'm about to. In ASL, if you're fixin' to do something, I will, or I'm going to do that soon, or I'm going to do that, I will, or almost going to do, so I'm about to. Sometimes I'll use that, I'm about to, I'm fixing to. But it usually means I will, or soon I will. I'm going to do whatever it is. You can explain whatever it is. Oh, soon, I'm fixing to. It means I'm just about to do that. I'm fixing to do that, right? I'm going to do that soon. Grits, and I spell that too because it's a short word. So in the South, Grits is usually served for breakfast, and it is made from corn. In the North, people use that word grit for something that's sandy, that's gritty, that feels gritty. But in the South, it's grit. So you have to, if it's the food, spell it, and if it's not, if it feels gritty or it is gritty, I would do the sign for like sand or something like that. It's gritty because it's texture. Potluck, which I didn't know that it was so different in the North. So potluck in the South is normally like a church group or friends. They get together and they cook something, but it's like enough to share, and so they bring that. And it's not normally I know if it's for in the North, it's any event that people bring food to share is called a potluck. And in the South, that's normally like reserved for like a church gathering, not really a funeral, because you usually have like kind of like a menu and people bring those specific items. Or it can be a community where you're having like a fundraiser, a money raiser is a fundraiser, money raiser, so that's reserved for the potluck, that you just bring it's a cooked thing, or you can bring a salad, but something that you can share with everyone. So I didn't really know that word was reserved, that was used differently, that particular word. Reckon. So in the South, that means I guess, I reckon, I thought so, I imagine. That's reckon. I thought so, I imagine, I guess so. Guess. You're trying to grasp at something that you miss. I guess. I reckon. They don't usually use that in the North. Okay. So I don't think that they use that. So they use I think. They don't use the word reckon. I reckon. But that's how you would say it in ASL, right? I reckon, I guess. I think so. I reckon. I imagine. I reckon that's the way it is. Okay, here's one that people kind of mix up: dinner and supper. Dinner is like the biggest meal. So in the South, because they were farm workers, they would eat dinner at noon. And then in the evening, it was a smaller meal, and so it was supper. So that was eaten at night. And in the North, since it's the biggest meal of the day, dinner is at night for them. So it does get kind of used flip-flop, because many people will say dinner, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. That's in ASL. But remember, it started kind of in the northern parts of the United States, the signs. So you could say breakfast, dinner, and supper, right? If you're, very southern. Some people will say, what do you want for dinner, even in the South, and they mean and that's the evening meal. But supper, it was reserved for the evening meal, and dinner was during the day at noon, lunchtime. So how that all kind of changed names, I'm not really sure, but that's why it's used, because dinner was the biggest meal. Okay, so here's a fun one. So snowball. So if you're in the North, it really is a snowball, where it's made from real snow, and you make it a ball and you can throw it, right? In the South, we use that word snowball for kind of like an ice cream treat. It's not ice cream. It's shaved ice, and then they add the flavors to it. So it's called snowball. Here's another fun one, buggy. So you say that when you get that, shopping cart, it's a buggy. But see, in ASL, there's not a specific buggy to show that difference. And in the North, a buggy is like an old-fashioned where you would sit with a horse and it was small. And it's a buggy. In the North, they say a shopping cart. In ASL, you use the sign a shopping cart. But if you were voicing that, you would say a buggy, or in your mind, you would say a buggy. In the South. Bless your heart. Now, that is a little bit different in the North and the South. So bless, so you've got your 5-hand shape and you've got your 8, kind of, this is 8, right? So it's kind of an open 8. So you have, so bless, this is mercy, or, oh, I'm so sorry, this is bless your heart. So, bless her heart, bless her heart. So in the South, you can really mean it like, oh, that's too bad. So it'd be bless her heart. Or you can make it like a little insult, if you want to. I don't use it that way as an insult, but I know some of the deep Southerners will use it sometimes as an insult. And insult, offend, insult, offend, I'm offended, insult. But in the North, they don't really use that word, they don't use that term. Oh, bless your heart. It's very, very Southern. But it can mean 2 different things. And I use it in in the way I really mean it instead of as an insult. Here's a fun one, a hush puppy. Like hush puppy. Or if you want to get technical, hush baby dog, right? So that's used with cornmeal, and we make it and we eat it with like fish in the South, and a hush puppy in the North. I think they feed their dogs with it. So that's why it got this term is to quiet your dog here. They just made it with leftover. But in the South, we really eat it with when you have like fried fish, mostly really good, and of course the shoes, the brand hush puppy. But it's really that's how the Northerners use it to quiet your dog here. Give them a hush puppy. And then the Mason-Dixon line, and so we use that more of a dividing line with the North and the South, and the Northerners. Cause like it's from the Confederate War, so the Mason-Dixon line. So we usually use it border with North and South, and the Northerners use that specifically where that boundary is, because it divides like 4 states. So they use it more literally, where we use it where it just divides. Oh, this is the North and this is the South, and it's a cultural divide. Okay, here's another term, a Yankee. Now, the Southerners use that as anyone that's from the north of the Mason-Dixon line, right? And then the Northern people use that as for like a British, it's the guards that have the hat, and they have that little bitty connecting, where it connects their lapel, or not lapel, but their hat holder, I guess, if you would say, their chin strap. Oh, that's it, chin strap. So the British, or you can say in England, they use that as, what did they say? Oh, so the Northerners use it as if they were like from English. So that's a Yankee. And the British use it as a Yankee as the colonist. So that's kind of funny. And in the South, we just use it as people are from the North, And sometimes you have to use people going, oh, you're just a Yankee. And they're going, they get it. They think I'm being ugly, but I'm not. Anyway, bog. So a bog in the South is food, right? It's a dish. I think it's made from rice. And in the North, and of course, bog is like a wet land. So you can have a bog. But in the North, they use that more. The bog is more of a wet land. So, but you know, and they said the Englishman, they use it as a toilet is a bog. Okay, we use it as food that's in the I think it's in South Carolina and North Carolina. I think that the Carolinas, they use that. It has rice and different other vegetables and things like that. Okay. Fetch. So most people have played fetch with their dog. And so what does that mean? So fetch means to go and get. Go get. So fetch. Go get it. Go get. So they, you know, northern people use it for their dogs, and southerners we mean it to go and get. I mean, for people it's not an insult. So we can say, you know, fetch me, blah, blah, blah. So it means go and get. I remember, you know, hearing, you know, older adults say, you know, fetch me, whatever, you know, to the kids, and it means go and get. But it wasn't an insult. Here's another fun one, carry. So in the South, we use that word, like I'm going to carry my aunt to the doctor. I'm going to carry her to her dance practice or whatever. So to carry or to carry is you can take someone or something. In the North, it normally just means to actually really move, like a bag, you know, to move it. I'm going to carry that for you. But in the South, it means I'm going to take you somewhere. So you can carry someone. I'm going to take her, or I'm going to bring her to the doctor. I'm going to carry them to the store. I'm going to bring them to the store. So that's the difference. So when you say carry in the South, it means to bring it. To bring it. Or you're going to drive them there. You know, I'm going to take them there. But normally you would say I'm going to bring them. My aunt, I'm going to bring her to the doctor. My grandmother, I'm going to bring her to the store. You know, carry. But in the North, you literally mean I'm going to, you know, pick it up and carry it, right? So I thought those were just kind of fun. And so I hope you enjoy it, and then you can use language, your normal Southern or your Northern language, and then how you would kind of translate that in ASL. And it's really about concepts still, right? And so, but it's fun to kind of, when you see something and you can voice it in your own vernacular. And when you're thinking in your own vernacular and how you would show it. So it can be kind of fun, and it's interesting, and it's never boring, that's for sure. And that's why I like it. So have fun with these different terms and with language, you know, English and where it's used culturally and in an ASL. So anyway, I will see you later. Bye.